and welcome to our International Women's Day pre-conference podcast. International Women's Day, or IWD, is celebrated on the 8th of March every year around the world. Each year has a theme, and this year's theme is Women in Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World, highlighting the impact that girls and women worldwide had as healthcare workers, caregivers, innovators, and community organizers during the COVID-19 pandemic. So International Women's Day celebrates the economic, political, and social achievements of women, past, present, and future. Here in Northamptonshire, we have an established tradition of recognising IWD, and we have indeed no shortage of high-achieving women in our organisations, both private and public. This year is no exception. Please take a few moments to meet them all and to join us for an afternoon of inspirational talks from some of Northamptonshire's most influential women. See you there.
Hello everybody, I'm Sian Waring and I'm here because I'm the Deputy Vice Chancellor at the University of Northampton, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joining this panel of such impressive and illustrious women. So a bit about my background. I grew up in Swansea and I went to a large comprehensive school there, and from there I went to Oxford University to study English literature. And at the end of that degree I wasn't really clear what I wanted to do, but I did love literature, and I also was beginning to love the study of language and linguistics. So I went and did a one-year master's at University of Strathclyde in Glasgow in literature and linguistics, and that took me into a PhD in gender, communication and assessment. So my thesis was on whether girls and boys hold conversations differently, and whether their teachers assess them differently depending on whether they were men or women. So you may well have views on that already. If we have time later, maybe I'll tell you a bit about what my research found. Anyway, I didn't stop there. I went on and did a postgraduate diploma at the Institute of Education in London, which is now part of University College London. And I realised, now I look back on my life, I actually didn't stop there either. I went on taking professional qualifications, a fellowship of the Staff and Education Development Association, a principal fellow of the Higher Education Academy, and a fellow of the Leadership Foundation. So I never run out of things that I want to learn. And looking back on that, I think it's because I'm really curious about how things work and how they fit together, and particularly by things that don't fit, that are contradictory. I think when I meet things that are anomalous or don't work like people say they do, I become really curious about it. And it's like I can't rest until I've made sense of why things don't seem to fit. And now I know you've got some hugely impressive sportswomen on this panel, and sport has also been a big part of my life. So I rowed at Oxford, and I have a half blue for rowing against Cambridge. And I still do sport. I'm training for a half marathon now, and I'll be 55 when I compete. So it's been, I mentioned that because it's just been a very big part of my life. Now then, to say a little bit about my career, I knew from when I was an undergraduate that I wanted to do something that felt purposeful for me, and that I wasn't motivated by salary beyond having enough to live on. I had no expectations of a career, and I don't think I thought beyond my first job until I'd been doing my first job for a few years. And I was very, very lucky to realise that I loved teaching from quite early on. I tutored while I was at university to earn money just to support myself. I thought I would be a school teacher, but because I kept going with the educational degrees, I became eligible for a university teaching role, and I started lecturing in English language and linguistics at Roehampton. And I think really one of the things that characterises my career is that I have moved jobs and institutions quite often. And I think quite rapidly, once I felt I'd made the difference that I could make, and I'd also learned what I could learn and grown as much as I could grow in that job, it was time to move on. And I really don't like feeling frustrated or blocked. So I seek new opportunities. I also think I've got quite a strong sense of responsibility and service. And what that's meant is I've always taken opportunities to do more. So, for example, I'm a chair of a charity at the moment for estranged and care experienced students. So that's additional. And doing all those additional things, I think, gave me a chance to learn more quickly. And I think that speeded up my career, although that wasn't the reason for doing the things. I was usually motivated, or always motivated, by just intrinsic interest in the thing I was doing. And I think something else is that I like people very much, and I'm curious about them, and I want to support them. I want to see other people grow. And I think those things have helped me solve problems in very complex organizational situations. And I think that's been part of my background. Now then, I was asked to talk about what my sector does well in gender. And I think one of the real advantages of working in higher education is there's a lot of flexibility, which helps people balance different commitments. And I think as well, there's a strong understanding of equality and a drive for equality. But there is a lot more to do. There's still a gender pay gap, and early gender decisions shape careers. So you see that I can go into a room and there's equal numbers of men and women, but the men control all the money. So they've taken routes up through engineering, finance, estates, and the women have taken routes through human resources, student services, and library. And the result is, in fact, a power imbalance at this quite late stage in our careers based on those very, very early gender choices. And I think there's still a culture where there are traits that are valued in men and not valued in women. And still, I think, a bias towards traits such as confidence and what looks like decisiveness, but I think is often just not taking account of different points of view. So I think there's still sort of cultural inequalities which benefit men more than they benefit women. And I've certainly been in jobs where I felt that it was much harder to get people's attention because I was a woman, and I got used to saying things 7 times before I'd get traction on the conversation. And that was very frustrating for me initially. But once I realized I could have an effect as long as I was willing to say things 7 times, I built it into my way of working. But I think that would still be an example to me of where gender inequality comes from, because obviously it's more tiring and you have to choose your battles more carefully. I'll just finish off by saying that a newspaper article has really stuck with me about the qualities shared by top CEOs, chief executive officers. And it gave a list of 5 qualities they had. And I like them because I think they're gender neutral qualities. And I see them a lot in women and I really value them. So they are curiosity, which I've already talked about, being good at building teams, risk takers, battle hardened. Battle hardened means that you've seen it all, you've done it all. You've gone into these difficult areas and you've come out, and you might bear the scars, but you know you can do it. And finally, being really succinct communicators. And I really value those qualities and I look for them in people that I employ. So I think what I want to end up by saying is that I've thoroughly enjoyed my education and career. And to me, it seems to make a kind of a whole where I can get a chance to value these things in other people and help them grow. So thank you for the chance to speak today, Sylvia, and looking forward to the discussions.
Hi guys, Rocky Clark here. I've got 137 caps. My full name is Rochelle Clark, and I've got an MBE title added to the end of my name. So I've been around the sport for a long time. Started playing rugby when I was 15 and got my first cap when I was 22. So my career lasted quite a long time, a 15-year career. So first cap was in 2003 and my last cap was in 2018. So been around the block a bit. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about my career and my school history. I started playing every sport I could get my hands on when I was at school. Loved PE, tried out everything I could, and it wasn't until one of my friends who was desperate for the girls to play rugby asked me to come along and join. And I said, I don't think it's for me, mate. I think I'll get injured. And I was quite worried about it. And she said, honestly, it's amazing. So I went along, absolutely loved it, never looked back. And that's what I started when I was 15. Started playing for the youth team at Beaconsfield, under 18s. And then I went on to play for Henley Rugby Club. And it was there where I got my first cap when I was 22. So when I was a youngster, I was quite a big girl, and I got my opportunity of England for an injury. got called into the squad when the England captain actually was injured, and they took me along to Canada and exposed me to some senior rugby. Got my first cap in 2003 on a really hot day in Canada, and it was 34 degrees, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack playing. It was so hot. So from then, tried rugby, got my first cap, loved it, and that was the inspiration for me to lose quite a bit of weight and get myself fit to get back in the squad later on in the year. So it was from then. It was, to be honest, it was probably one of the easier parts, getting the cap, and the harder part was staying there. And playing for 137 times for your country is no mean feat. And, you know, I've had my fair share of injuries and everything over my career. Played in many Six Nations, and I think I hold 8 Grand Slam titles and 9 Six Nation titles. So not too bad. And I've been to 4 World Cups, of which I was part of the winning team in 2014 when we lifted the trophy. So that was one of the best days of my life. In terms of school, I had a really good education, loved going to school, loved PE. And, you know, I did some maths, English, science and sport. You know, never looked back at that. And some of the best memories are from there. But it was my rugby career that's really paved the way for me and still impacting my life now. I'm a personal trainer and a rugby coach. And so I've stayed in that career path. I'm still playing rugby for Saracens. Every so often you can see me be on the team sheet and roll out, as well as coaching the forwards there as well. So I've enjoyed my time with rugby and I've had the best experiences. In terms of participation in the women's game, numbers are increasing every single year. Obviously, with the pandemic, numbers have ceased at the moment, but once we get back, that's a huge focus for us to get numbers up again. The support for the women's game is growing, and the Premier 15s is now being streamed every week, and we've got some games on Sky, and some of the international games are on Sky, and we've had a few on BBC too. So the growth of the sport is huge. We're starting to get the media coverage, and it's improving, and we need to keep increasing numbers with that support. We're on our way to to being a household name, and that's something that we hope by the end of this year, that when we've got the World Cup, that the women's game will be in everybody's chats towards the autumn, because there's the World Cup in New Zealand. So yeah, it's just been an amazing career. Loved every minute, and can't wait to see what the future holds. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you later.
Hi, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Beth Heddles, and I'm the commander of the 423rd Medical Squadron at RAF Elconbury. We live here on this fabulous base here in the UK, and it's an honor to be able to be asked to be part of this conference. I'm really looking forward to it. By trade, I'm a nurse. I was able to join the military to get education. I've had people tell me in the past, education is super important. 1, they can never take education away from you. And 2, you never know what doors it will open. And it opened some pretty big doors for me. I joined the military in the United States so that I could have money for college. Through the military, I've been able to get 5 different degrees. And as of May, you can call me doctor. So it's been fantastic, and having all sorts of chances to learn and educate myself more. And a lot of people have said, hey, why do you just keep going back to school? And I look at it as a resource so that I can help more people. As a nurse, as a leader, as the commander of this clinic, how do I make things better for people? In the Air Force, fortunately, I don't think we have glass ceilings. We have people going to things like Navy SEAL training. We have people going to all sorts of other pilot trainings. We have female commanders who are 4-stars. My Surgeon General is a 3-star female, and she's fantastic. So I think there's nothing but opportunity. At least I've been afforded nothing but opportunity. My organization has opportunity for people. Not to say it doesn't have its challenges, but every organization has some challenges. But I've really enjoyed the mentoring and chances and opportunities I've had from other commanders and other leaders, and getting me to where I am today. Again, I'm super excited to be able to talk to you and answer any questions you have at the conference. I'm looking forward to it. And see you then.
Hello, I'm Rachel Mallows, and I'm really pleased to be here. I run a company based in Northamptonshire called the Mallows Company, and we do three things. We support people who are out of work to help them get jobs and further training and give confidence to get back into work. We work with businesses on training and development and coaching and mentoring. And the third strand is around food and drink. So I run Made in Northamptonshire, which was started 10 years ago this year, and the Northamptonshire Food and Drink Awards, sponsored initially by Carlsberg and now by Weetabix. We also run a programme that supports businesses across the South East Midlands who are in food and drink manufacturing, and we help them with grants, technical support and mentoring. And we do lots of other things as well, but those are the three key areas. I've been in business since about the age of 19. I went to the high school in Wellingborough and then to Tresham to do my A-levels. I was absolutely convinced that by 24 I'd be married with 2 children. That didn't happen. I went off to university, fell in love with, in fact, someone from the village, and ran away with him. Which was all very exciting at the time, but what I'm really pleased to say is it didn't stop my pursuit, really, of education. So what I realised was that a degree is one route, but actually there are many other routes to get the career that you want. And in that regard, I then went down the route of doing things that were more relevant. So taking various courses, using the Open University, working with professional qualifications around coaching and mentoring, careers guidance, MVQ assessment, mediation, all those kinds of things, to try to then build something where I could provide a competent service. I now employ around 10 people, permanent staff and then some freelance staff, and I'm very enthusiastic about training. So training being something that is really for life, that doesn't just finish at 18 or 21. I think my career started then when I set up my own business, really. I had worked as a secretary PA to a managing director and chairman. Actually, when that got a little boring, I stopped and set up a business, and that business has diversified. And one of the things I've been able to do is just take advantage of every opportunity. So in the food and drink sector, I'd really encourage all of you to consider thinking about a career in the food and drink sector because of the opportunities that there are. And we've got great role models locally with female CEOs at companies like Weetabix and British Pepper and Spice. And if you're thinking of starting a business, I'd love to talk to you. I've been involved in the Prince's Trust and various other initiatives. And I think that starting a business gives you that opportunity to work hard, set goals, persevere, and achieve some of the goals that you might have in mind. Look forward to seeing you on the 8th of March.
Hi, I'm Mandy. I was born and bred in Corby, and I'm the CEO and founder of Adrenaline Alley. I hope my story will inspire you to realise your full potential and fulfil your dreams. In my younger years, during the 70s and 80s, everything was centred around steel in Corby. It was a case of you can work in the steelworks, or you can be a hairdresser, or you can be a typist, for example. And it was very typical of the gender roles then in Corby and how the young people aspired to think about work when they'd left their education. I didn't really feel that I had a particular valuable education, but I did okay. But I always knew there was something more inside of me and that I could do better. After leaving school at 16, I flitted in and out of jobs. But my potential was realised when I was taken from the shop floor into a company training role. I suddenly realised I could achieve so much more and my potential was beginning to grow. But at the age of 22, I fell pregnant with my son, John. Unfortunately, he became very sick. And for the next 13 years, I spent at home and in hospitals with John looking after him. But I had a fight on my hands. I had to fight the establishment to find out why John was so sick, because we couldn't get any answers. However, over the next 13 years, John was diagnosed with a brain tumour. And at the age of 13, suddenly became well and was able to come home for good. He started skateboarding, but again, unfortunately, he was subject to a violent attack. And unbeknown to me at the time, that attack was going to change my life and me as a person. I realized that fighting those establishments had given me the courage and the strength to be able to fight, to make the charity work and be able to progress myself and John within the charity. We had to look within ourselves and we had to understand how we could make that work and the strength and courage that it was going to need to make that work. What did I learn from that experience? Well, allow yourself to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Pick yourself up and move on. Look at everything as a learning curve and use it to improve you and your future. And never be afraid to say, I don't know, or I need help. And have the courage to move on, no matter whether you know the answers or not, or what direction you may end up in. And always reach for the stars. Never give up. Always dream big, because the bigger you dream, the more you'll achieve. And if I can be an example of how you can turn your life around, then I'm happy to be that example to you. During my career, there was quite a few changes that happened. One, I realized very early on that I was a woman in a man's world, in a very male-orientated sport and industry. So I wasn't going to conform of doing things the normal way. I wanted to create a greater impact and use the core sports to engage people on all different levels. I secured large funding bids and we quickly became a world-class facility. I had created a destination for people to travel all over the world to come and visit us, and we became a centre of excellence for aspiring young Olympian riders. However, the biggest test was to come. In September 2010, John passed away aged 24. I had to quickly pick myself up and continue his legacy, and that was a test like no other. But in the last 10 years, we've become an asset-backed charity and we've purchased the land and buildings and we've strengthened its future sustainability. And I continue to learn and take in everything that the experts have taught me. But the industry is getting better and it's starting to encourage women more. As a woman, I've had to fight extremely hard to remain successful. Over the last 12 years, it's been no mean feat, and I've received a lot of recognition, which is a sign that things are improving. Funding is more targeted at engaging females, and we host a female BMX rider who is training for the Olympics, and we promote female participation as much as we can. Throughout my career, as I said, I've been a woman in a man's world, but I've turned the industry upside down. And there were a lot of people out there that didn't believe I could do it. I was told it was pie in the sky, but we did it. And all of that recognition I have received, including a visit from Princess Anne to commemorate our work, culminated in me receiving an MBE from the Queen in November 2018. I really look forward to seeing you on the 8th of March.
Hello everybody, I'm Angela Hillary and I'm the proud and privileged Chief Executive of both Northamptonshire Healthcare Foundation Trust and Leicestershire Partnership NHS Trust, so 2 NHS trusts. And I'm really pleased to be with you here today, and I could not be more excited about sharing with you my career journey and hoping that that can give you some inspiration and thoughts about yours too. So just to say, in terms of those roles, for those of you who don't know, those trusts are both community and mental health trusts. So that means many of the community services that you'll have come across, be it health visiting, school nursing, paediatrics, right through to our mental health services. So that's inpatient care and community services, many, many services, hundreds in fact. And I'm responsible in that for about a budget of just over 500 million And that does mean staff that I'm supporting of about 12,500 too. So that gives you a bit of the size and shape. Now, I'm really pleased to share with you, I've been in the NHS for 32 years. It seems a long time, but it's happened and it's gone so quickly. But I am really wanting to convey to you, the NHS is a great place to be. It has been absolutely fantastic to me. And I have to share with you, to start with, I did not plan to be a chief exec, not at all. So for those of you thinking, well, you know, that's not something that I've got on my career plan, nor did I. But I love my job, and I hope that you'll see through my sharing with you that it is absolutely a passion of mine, and I hope that contributes to why I'm able to achieve the results in the organisations that I've got. But the NHS has given me lots of opportunities. If I start a little bit with my career journey at school, I always liked school, there's no doubt about it. I think I probably liked the socialising at school more than the work. But I did go on and I did my A-levels, and that was in biology, history and English. I probably could have done better than I did, but what was important was that I'd already signalled that I wanted to be part of a profession called speech and language therapy. And I was lucky enough to go to an early career talk where a speech and language therapist and other members of the therapy profession shared with me what it could be. And at that age of 14, I was clear that was my path. So I did go on to qualify as a speech and language therapist. I did my Bachelor of Science in Speech Pathology and Therapeutics at Leicester. And I subsequently went on to do my Masters of Medical Science in Birmingham whilst I was working as well. And that was really great opportunities to enhance the opportunities that I'd already taken through academic qualifications. And through that, I was able to specialise in working with people with a learning disability, which is an incredible passion of mine and something that you don't lose whatever role you do in the NHS if you've been participating in that field of work. So through that speech and language therapy career, I got lots of opportunities to lead teams of my own profession and to lead across county services and be what's called a professional lead. And that gave me opportunity, not least to do that, but to get involved with the Royal College of Speech and Language Therapy. It gave me other opportunities to learn. It gave me opportunity to see things I perhaps wouldn't have done if I just focused on the role in hand. So again, the NHS supported me to do that, and I'm indebted to them for allowing me to, because I know that contributed to being a chief exec now. Now, within my career path, people open doors, and I think I always talk to anybody about the importance of opening doors, because we have a choice to either walk through them when they're given to us or not. We also have a choice whether we open them for others. And this is something I'm passionate about in women leadership terms, is that we have an opportunity to do that. I then took opportunities to create leadership across all of the different sectors, and I'm lucky that I got that chance to do that. And something that's important to convey is people took risks on me because they saw the potential in me, which again is something that I would convey to you. The NHS has a lot of females amongst us, 77% in fact, and I'm pleased to say there's more female leadership than ever, but there's more to do in the NHS, and I'm very clear that we have to keep on that. I'm pleased there are more chief execs are females, but of course we want to make sure diversity is in the NHS, and I would encourage and implore you to come and join us because it's a great place to be. Thank you. And I'm really looking forward to the 8th of March conference to share more with you too.